Hello! Good morning, everyone. I'm gonna need to do a quick audio check because sometimes I set things up, things are working great, and then I sit down and things stop. So let's see how this one's doing. Good morning, everyone. I'm gonna need to do a quick audio check because I think I'm quiet. Sometimes I set things up, but you can let me know. Good morning, Amy. Let's make sure I have everything going. I posted on socials. Hi, Sandy. But anyway, good morning, everyone. I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and today we are gonna leave no dye behind and use up some leftovers. I will show you more about what I got going on over there in a minute. I realized, actually, I need to adjust this camera. Oh no. Okay, so if I zoom, then I can, nope, I want to pan that way, tilt this way. Okay, that's better. It's like, oh, the things I realized. Yay, your Hanukkah sampler arrived. That's awesome. But okay, one of the things, and we'll start in a moment because we're gonna need to let the pan heat up, is that I've got this leftover collection of dye that I've been saving for months. I think this is the third one I've done. It started at the beginning of 2025. I would save any leftover liquid dyes from making dye stocks. Maybe I'd measured out a little too much, and I put it all in this one container. So it has probably 17 plus different pigments or pigment blends that have gone into it. And it's sort of like an average leftover color. And so far I've done dip dyeing into it once. I've done like a knotted skein into it. And then today we're gonna do some scribble dyeing. So that is the plan for today. But we also will go through some very important announcements, which I'll go through more in a minute, but just quickly, the ChemKnits Hanukkah sampler, the 2025 ChemKnits Hanukkah yarn sampler is ready to ship, which is really exciting. There is a bundle if you want to get both. Thank you. If you want to get both the 2025 sampler and last year's, the 2024 sampler, you can buy them together at a 50% discount if you do the add both to cart down there. The sampler is available in fingering and DK weights. But there's a new listing. Oh, I restocked the sparkle add-on, and there's a new listing, the One Night, which I know when I do this you can't see, but like you can get a full 100 gram skein dyed with the same colors and the same technique as the mini skeins in nights 1 through 7. And then there is also a yarn mop from night 7. So there might be differences from how the minis are just because of the way dyeing minis versus full skeins works. That's one of the things I'll feature in the videos, but that is a new listing. Black Friday is here at Knit Picks, 30% off with this coupon code. I have my affiliate link down in the video description. And we'll also talk about the gift guide that I made with Knit Picks later. And so this is not sponsored or anything. I am a Knit Picks affiliate, and so I do earn commission if you make purchases through my affiliate links. And I want to find, here, I'll link to the gift guide in the chat right now, but that's my Knit Picks affiliate link. Okay, let's go to the counter and get started over there. But I'll do an audio check first. Check, check, because it's a different thing in the chat right now, but that's my Knit Picks affiliate link. Okay, let's go to counter and get started over there. Check, check, check. But I'll do an audio check first. Check, check. All right, that is sounding good. You can get a sense of the delay. Okay, so we're going to be using my electric hot plate so I can do it on the counter. This, it's full to the brim. Like I could not fit a drop more of dye in here. And the yarn we're going to dye today is Knit Picks Stroll Fingering Weight yarn. I am planning on, I realize I need to make sure I can see my monitor. So that way I can see the chat. I am planning on having this be an edited video as well. I have filmed some clips of saving dye over the last few months. So we'll see how all those sort of fit in together. So I have filmed those clips, but I wanted to do this on stream because I thought it'd be a fun way to hang out. Okay. But I'm going to need to rotate everything. And make sure that that is still on camera. Ooh, and I'm going to need to draw the curtain. I'm seeing the sunlight come in. Okay. Make sure, great. We are on camera right there. Now the one thing with having the electric hot plate on the shower curtain is you want to make sure that the shower curtain isn't touching the bottom of the electric hot plate. It's like the heat otherwise is raised, but there's a screw on the bottom that gets a little warm that's still like, you know, above, it's not touching the table unless I have a wrinkle in the shower curtain underneath it, and so that's the only time when there's an issue. And then I would get a teeny tiny little hole in the shower curtain. Okay. Hopefully this is not in your way. Today we're going to use my electric hot plate, a 4-inch deep full-size catering steam pan, and we're going to start dyeing 200 grams of Knit Picks Stroll Fingering Weight yarn. This yarn is 75% superwash merino wool, 25% nylon, and I am a Knit Picks affiliate, and so if you want to learn more about this, I have affiliate links in the video description, and I may earn a commission if you make a purchase after clicking on one of the links. So we're going to start with, as I said, 200 grams of yarn. I have not plugged in the hot plate yet. I never really want to do that until I have water in our pan. So that was 8 cups of water. I will probably need more, but it takes the hot plate a little while to heat up. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on high for now. And then we're going to bring over the yarn that I didn't bother pre-soaking. Oh, I forgot. I wanted to add acid. Let's start a little bit low with just 1 tablespoon of white vinegar per 8 cups of water. So if we add more water, I'll add more acid at that same proportion. But because we have this leave no dye behind mixture of a bunch of different colors, there's a big potential that the colors might break. And by breaking, I mean separating. So for example, 2 colors that are probably in there are like fluorescent fuchsia and true black. Those are both colors that the true black will strike a little faster. The fluorescent fuchsia takes more time. And at the pan is a little bit stained. There isn't actually pink in here yet. At the, I guess, the concentration of acid we have in here, the pinks may strike a little bit, but not too much, and the blacks with heat probably would. And so what we could see is one color where we just add the dye on, and then a second color. In theory, we could see a second color as the halo when the dye spreads. Now, I do think I want a little bit more water in here. Okay, so off camera, I'm adding a tablespoon of white vinegar to my jar. And I have not said this on the recorded camera yet. Why am I seeing an ad and not the chat? Okay. As we go, feel free to ask me questions. Okay. I already added a tablespoon of water to this jar, so that way I could add liquid at the same proportion that we had in there already. And I have that set aside in case I need it, because maybe if we end up deciding to dilute our dye, then then I may want to use that liquid. So we'll see how it goes. But I need to let this warm up, and it might take a little bit. I smell it heating. I had to wash the dust off of it earlier. Okay, I'm setting a timer for 15 minutes. Where are, you know what? We can have new gloves today. I know I've said this before, but actually the reason why I use purple gloves is because these were my favorite gloves when I worked in the lab, and so I buy the same ones, which is fun. Okay, so this is what I wanted to do. Now, I hope I can do this without spilling anything, but I want to show you, oh, a drop came out, just how full this container is. And we have that little drip right there. Ooh, it's looking a little bit black. It's very cool toned. I'm seeing those purples. The average always tends to be a purple. And maybe I'm seeing a pink halo. I don't know yet. This is the first little like look that we have at that color. I may need to transfer it into another container, but we maybe will be able to do something. You know what? I changed my mind. I want to see what this color is, and while we're heating up, there's no reason why I can't take this container, just do a little bit. I'm going to want to move it because you can see this container. Ooh, that's a very pretty grape color is what it's giving. But I'm not able to squeeze very much of the liquid out at any given time. So what I'm going to do is find the container. Nope, no singing, Rebecca, no singing. Aha. I'm going to grab a squeeze bottle that has a bigger opening. And I don't think I need to dilute the liquid at all. Now we have a liter of this dye total, and you can see just how little we took down. I think we fit a little over 100 milliliters in here. But now I can go a bit heavier with our scribbles than what I did before. And as we heat up, which we're seeing some steam over there slowly, as we heat up, we'll be able to see what kind of halo we get over there. So I'm going to zoom in right here, and we'll wait a little over 10 minutes just to see if we notice anything change. This is like a gorgeous, I would say eggplant, but it's really, eggplants are much warmer. It is a very cool toned purple, like really cool toned. You'd buy them just, the gloves just because they're purple. Awesome. Yeah, oh, I can take my glasses and the clip out. What was I going to say? I'm glad I switched the bottle. So I could, with the squeeze bottle I was using is from Dharma Trading Company. And one thing that I can do is clip the top of it. I could clip that tip so that way it's a little more open, and then I wouldn't have to do the transfer. but with a 1 liter bottle, they're heavier and a little harder to hold anyway. And those smaller tulip tie-dye bottles I use over and over are really like comfortable in my hand. And so I feel okay refilling that as needed. And the plan is to do something that is like maybe like mottled tonal, because I just want to layer this color, not all the way until we get a solid. I don't think we'll get a solid, but we'll see what we'll get. And it also depends on how the colors, or if the colors break. Now, if they don't break, I'm very surprised, because I definitely have pigments in there that strike at different times. So who knows? Who knows what will happen? Okay, but as we are waiting, let's go back to some of these announcements. And you know what we could do? Let's actually add, where is it? There we go. Hey, it's getting steamy pretty quickly. There, now we can see it as I'm chatting with you about other stuff. Okay, so YouTube is doing one new thing, which is cool, but a little bit freaky. And I need to see if I can find it. Oh, I took a screenshot of it. That's where it is. So they now will auto tag some of my Etsy products. Not everyone. Like, I couldn't find like the just one night thing to add. But I think ones that have been big sellers, Etsy is like, oh, these could be like tagged on a thing. The problem is that on my phone, and this only seems to happen on Android, if I click on like the little widget that shows up on the video, it says that there's free shipping. There is not free shipping on my listing. This is an Etsy error, and I've reached out to them about it, and that was a whole other frustrating thing. Let's see. Because if I click on here, and scroll down, shipping is not free. But even like someone in the UK took a look at this for me, and it said like free UK shipping, which like there's no way. Shipping the sampler to the UK is like ends up costing me like $40 or something. It is not cheap. I am going to reduce the heat over here because it is very steamy, which is really good. Let's go midway down. So I just want to say that that is an Etsy error. I have my listing set correctly. The other funny thing about YouTube, and maybe, oh, it would be super meta, but you can see that like the 2 Hanukkah samplers are tagged under the video. YouTube is now auto doing that, so it'll pick anything from my description and potentially add it. The hilarious thing is that it says I earn commission. They are my own products. I would earn a commission if someone makes a purchase through one of those links. But Etsy would then probably charge me a advertising fee that is greater than the commission I was paid. And so even though it says I earn commission, I don't make more money if you do that. I make the most money if you go through the link in the video description. And actually, maybe I should pull this up. This is about to get very meta. Okay. Hopefully it doesn't show an ad.
This banana peel?
It is showing an ad. I'm going to mute it. I don't need to advertise that ad for free to everyone. La la la. Okay, skip. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so here is the video, which is now, of course, meta showing that ad. Okay, I'll go to a different spot. That was hilarious. Okay, so down here, it shows the tagged products. Sometimes on a short, it might show up as like a little square with them. And so if on my desktop I click on this, it's going to bring me straight to the listing and won't say anything about free shipping. It's only on my mobile that it does that. And so doing these would get commission, or doing these would make me have to pay an ad fee, basically, that is more expensive. If you click on a link that starts with chemknitscreations.etsy.com versus one that starts at as Etsy as the primary, if you click on that link, then I get this share and save discount, and they refund part of the transaction, not the transaction, part of the Etsy's cut of the fees of what I'm sharing. They will refund part of that to me because I referred the sale and I advertised it myself. So if you click on the pinned comment, and it doesn't matter if you, because right now that link goes to the Hanukkah section. You could go ahead and order this eucalyptus dyed yarn, and I would still get the share and save credit for that. And so obviously, if however you get to my shop, like if you want to shop with me, that is wonderful. I just didn't want anyone to think that if you clicked on one of these that I would get more money, because no, I'd get a little bit less. And so, yeah, that is how that goes. But overall, it's fun. Oh, and while I'm here, okay, in every video, if you go down to the video description, and sometimes you have to click more, there's tons of other links. So here I have my affiliate links to knitpicks and crochet.com for the Black Friday sale. Here is that gift guide that I'll be showing you in a minute, my blog post about the big sale, and then just like my shop link. So actually, you don't even need to click on it. You can just go to chemknitscreations.etsy.com and I get credit. It's as simple as that. And so, yeah. And then I have other affiliate links and links of places you can find me down there. Is there still anything on Zazzle? Hey, there is. I don't think I get paid for any of this. This is my favorite mug, though. I use it all the time. I may need to get another one. Wait, no, I thought I had one with the blue. Oh no, I guess I can buy it with the blue handle. Yeah, the colored handle one, or the combo mug. Oh, you can pick the color. Yeah, with the navy blue, that is my favorite. Ooh, the green could be fun though. Anyway, I digress. I made those like a million years ago. And I can't see comments right now. I need to change that. Oh, here's a great one. Do I have different bottles of leftovers based on color families? No. Maybe in 2026 we'll go ahead and do that though. Just because I think that could be fun. And I've had that suggestion because a lot of the averages so far tend to be purple. Because even if I'm using a lot of primaries and yellows and orange, I mean, if you look at I guess just, yeah, the average tends to be purple. Maybe it could be a green, but I think that the pinks tend to be dominant, and so it goes purple. Okay, but what I wanted to do, okay, so I talked about Hanukkah, and we have that linked. This yarn, this video will be coming out soon. Patrons already saw this one. I'm so excited. This yarn, I think there's only one left. Okay, you can see a little bit over here, but so the glaze is glorious. Under a black light, this is one of the best ways for me to show glazing that I've ever had. Because since fluorescence is like emitting light, and because the glaze color is not fluorescent, you can really see that shallow, uneven application of color. And so I am like completely obsessed. And yeah, that was a fun one to show. I think the timer will be going off in a second, which is great. But yeah, I guess I popped a KnitPicks link in there to the gift guide. But yeah, the Black Friday sale started, and it's going to go all the way through December 1st, which I forget which day of the week that will be. Can I see? The 1st is a Monday. So it'll go partly through Cyber Weekend, I suppose. And the coupon code is 11 Black Friday 25. That is the coupon code, but 30% off the whole shop. And so this means, okay, I'll come back to you. But this means if you use that coupon code on bulk bare yarn, that is 15 to 20% off to start with. If you stack the 30% off coupon code on top of that, you have a savings between 40 point something and 44% off. Because the way the savings work is that you get 30% off the discounted price, which is really, really nice. So I'm about to place a big order myself. Aha! We have some color spread. I'm seeing some blues show up in the background. And actually, not just that. Up here, I see a hint of little pink. I don't know if it's showing up on camera. I definitely see it in person. And maybe there's some more pinks sort of spreading through. We'll see when we flip the yarn. But that's definitely not color from the zip tie. These ones have had a little enough pigment that I don't think the zip ties would bleed at all. And also the placement of the color, I'm not worried about bleeding. But that little bit of blue you can see from far away, which is fun. Where are my tongs? Side note, do you know how often I have to cut "where are my tongs" out of videos? A lot. That is something that I say a lot. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and, ooh, I'm seeing pinks. Let's go ahead and flip. Okay, you can really see that little bit of pink in here. I'll zoom in a moment. Now ooh, and here we really see more of that blue spread. Awesome. Awesome. Now that pink we're seeing is not coming off of the pan. I have dyed a lot of yarn in this pan since I stained it pink and have not seen that pink move. So I don't believe that that's an issue. But in here, we have that light wash of pink, which, to be fair, some of these colors could be a pastel version of our mixture. But given that we also have this little bit of blue, that's definitely color breaking. Just very subtle. On this side, let's go ahead and do some hearts. Why not? I think that whatever colors we end up dyeing in here today, and however like big or coverage or whatever we have, we may see less and less of the breaking. But we could also get a little bit more now that and I'll do a little line down here, now that I kind of can be a little more free and heavy with it. But as we layer more and more color, the colors are going to average more and more. And so that's also worth keeping in mind. Oh, the last thing I wanted to add is that is that things heated up pretty quickly. And so it didn't really require 10 minutes, but I waited just because I had said that I would. One other thing I want to see is that in general I don't want to move it, but I'm curious if I come here and I poke. Okay, this is striking pretty quickly. Like if I poke it, clearly I'm spreading that like dusty purple color out a little bit. You can see the areas that I've pressed that gives a little bit more blending, but the main color that I'm adding is sort of staying in place. I do want to wait a little bit before flipping the yarn, just so that way I know we'll get some average and spread all over. I just don't want it to be too much right away. I adore this color. I don't think I have anything quite like it. But I think I'll just wait about 5 minutes before we flip and start adding more. Timer, 5 minutes. If you have a request for the shape that I should scribble on the next flip, maybe I'll do stars. It's just fun to do random shapes because then that randomizes the way I place the color. Okay, but the site-wide sale, which is super, super exciting. And so, yeah, the last thing I wanted to tell you guys about was actually, I mean, I've shared links to this, but I made a gift guide with knit picks. And I'm pretty excited because they reached out and they're like, would you like your own dedicated landing page? And so I think it's really fun. Now the hat that I'm wearing right there is hand dyed Simply Bulky Soft, super bulky soft. Let's see. If we go to my favorite bear yarns, I'm going to say, of course I just call that one bear. Let's see if I can tell from the look. Stroll sock blank, stroll fingering, bear super bulky soft, this one. What is the fiber content? 70% wool, 30% alpaca. It is so warm and so soft. Let's see. Oh no, I lost it. There we go. There we go. And so I don't know, I think that if I were, okay, yeah, if I open this a little bit more, things are cut off the side, but then they're not quite as massive. Oh, I like that indigo tie-dye kit. And so I just included, oh, it's funny that I did linked to some of the 20 packs. But see how the 20 pack of Swish DK is 15% off? I think that the 20 pack of Stroll, here it is 20% off the full price. And so if you buy the 20 pack of Stroll and then apply that 30% off coupon that's up here, then you get like a, I think, combined savings of 44%. And this is the yarn that I'm dyeing right now. And so that is pretty exciting. Okay, but I talk about a lot of my favorite bear yarns all the time. Let's take a peek at because I picked, oh, one of them is missing. Oh, did one of them sell out? Bummer. Originally I had 8 things because I was like, oh, 8 like stocking stuffers. I actually just ordered this crochet hook case for myself. But everything else, okay, I suppose 2 things I don't have. I own almost everything I put. I don't have these numbered stitch markers, progress keepers, which I think are great because they have like rows of 10, and I think that it would be really great to helping you remember what you've counted already. Needle sizers like this are my favorite. I have a different brand of blocking combs, and I love them, and I really like that these ones clip together, and so I'm very interested in those. Okay, so things that are some of my favorites for color work. Palette yarn is one of my favorite things. Oh my gosh. I guess they couldn't just link to one, but then it's not showing. See, I didn't see this before it went live. It's showing, like, I think all of Palette and Wool of the Andes. Aha! This chart keeper. one of my favorite things ever. I am a chart versus written instructions girly, so I mean, it's handy to have written instructions to refer to, but I like the chart because I can see, like I can look at the past row to see what the current row should be on top of to make sure everything is oriented correctly. And so I love that. Cables became really easy for me once I learned how to do charts. And this is really handy. It comes with these like magnetic bars. It has a snap so it can stand up. I love it. I love it. I was trying to make sure to also include some yarn that wasn't all bare. These are some of my favorite tools. Oh, funny, they put both of those. So I have the purple ball winder. And I mean, purple is my favorite color, but for some reason the blue one makes me really excited. Maybe because I've had the purple one so long, so the fact that there are colors now is great. Now, I've had 2 of these ball winders over the years. The first one broke because I had it on a stool and then Ryder tipped it over. So that was bad. These blocking mats, I have like 4 sets of them because sometimes I want it to be really big. So we'll come back to the gift guide. That yarn Swift on my list is the updated version of the one that I use. Hey, Robin, thank you for being a member for 39 months. Paisley scribbles. Ooh, I will try. I don't know how to draw paisley, but I'll do some like curly cues, okay? Curly cues will be fun. After 5 minutes, we definitely have more spread. Not quite as much as when I pushed in with the spoon, but I want to flip the yarn again. And the goal with each flip, and it's easier with 200 grams of yarn in the pan, it becomes a little trickier if you have like 300 or 400 grams, is I want to expose the areas that have the most white. And so at some point this might mean I flip the skein of yarn inside out a little bit, especially around the zip tie. It may mean I shift the zip tie, but what it does mean is that we're going to continue to have fun and dye different types of patterns. This was a chat request for paisley, but I don't know how to draw paisley. So I'm doing curly cues. Okay, Rebecca, time-lapse voiceover will be coming after. Maybe on the next flip, I'll do stars. Going bigger and bigger concentric circles. And we're almost done with this bottle, and we'll need to refill it. Cue. Go down. I always film my voiceovers, I try to film them in a different thing. Actually, you know what? We're going to use this guy. Clear. That way I can move the timer and have it with me. Okay, first voiceover. When drawing my spirals that got bigger and bigger, I finished the first bottle, that first probably 113 milliliters of our combination color. And so I refilled the bottle before doing the next flip and the next side. I think I was going to do stars. I'm just mixing up the patterns that I draw. I like drawing these patterns onto the yarn just because it means that I'm being a little bit more random with the placement. If I'm just doing lines back and forth across, then I'm thinking about it too hard. Some things may be a little bit more regular, and this ends up giving me something that feels more organic. Now, I'm going to keep flipping and flipping and flipping this until I decide I want to stop. And I don't know where that point will be. Okay, and Rebecca, there may be more voiceover, maybe not. back to 4K. Sometimes I forget to go back to 4K. Yeah, I wish I knew how to draw paisley. But yeah, feel free to ask me any kinds of questions you may have during this whole process. And then depending on how much of the dye we add onto these two skeins, we may, who knows what else we'll do. Because I really, really like this color. Really, really do. It's funny, I think on your screen it looks very undramatic. There's not that much time left, so I'm not going to go back to the gift guide now, which is fine. Haha, I'll just pop in here. Okay, so I had the most, I want to be able to make sure I can see the chat when I'm over here. I had something happen that hasn't happened to me in a really long time. I dyed some yarn with navy, and it looked very navy. I did a double process on it, and now the color looks almost gray, almost like twilight gray, but it sort of like broke into this brown, which is something navy can do. It's something about the pigments there, but I don't know, because like I steam set it, but it can happen with like being too hot, but like the steam shouldn't be an issue. And I did leave it to like in the steamer basket closed with the heat off for a while, but it's kind of blowing my mind that this happened, because I don't think I've seen this happen before. There was a cake dyeing once where we ended up with brown that surprised me, and at the time I think it was, maybe it was like blued steel from jacquard. It was like a navy type color, and it did that. And I know other dyers have reported this happening at times. Thankfully the yarn is still pretty, but it's weird because it's like the pigments broke down, because things are also less saturated compared to where they were when I first dyed it. And so, I mean, also things are dry, but I was looking at it and I was like, oh, this is almost, when I watched it, I was like, oh, it's almost looking gray to me. And I keep looking at it and I was like, oh, I see some brown in it. And it's so weird. Susan, let me look. Susan asked if they're still selling Islands of Light roving. I'm not seeing it, but sometimes, oh gosh, when did I last order it? Sometimes if something is sold out, it doesn't show up. Okay, so I found it. It's still on the website, and it's under a notify me right now. That means that potentially they're bringing it back, but it's not showing up as available because things don't always show up in search when they're sold out, which has been an issue for me with, say, Bear Stroll fingering weight yarn, when it's been sold out and hasn't shown up, and I've been like, uh-oh. But it is still technically on the website. I found that through Google, and I can make, if you want me to, I can make a link to it in a little bit. Gunmetal on the kinky. You know, I don't remember. It could have been, yeah, gunmetal breaking to brown. There was something that broke to brown once, and it's something that I can happen, but isn't, like, I don't know if it was the high acid that was still in there when I went and steam set it versus having it immersion in a pot. But I've dyed, and like I've glazed with a lot of navy recently, which is in the pot for a long time. I've used the color and the same dye stock, so I don't know. Time lapse Rebecca. I don't know what was causing that issue, but I guess the main thing I want to share is that I do have issues myself occasionally when it comes to dyeing and yarn. And so things, like, we don't have very much white left now, which is fine. Actually, let's leave that twisted a little bit. It's okay for things to be twisted. It's my yarn. I can dye it however I want. But it's like this beautiful grayish purple. And it's funny how, like, saturated the color is at first, and then how much more muted it becomes as it, like, spreads and strikes. But see, like, I do want to be careful, because if I add, like, way too much color all at once, then what could happen, oh, I used most of the jar that time. Then what could happen is that it'll become more like that I just poured color on. So yeah, so it's you know, they did not ever mention that roving, Susan, that island of whatever roving. And here I can grab an affiliate link for it. Not that, like, if you click on one affiliate link you can use anything, but if you search in Google, then that probably is not. Oh crap, did I leave me on this the whole time? Probably. Toolbox, link builder. They changed the platform, and I've not updated all of my links yet because the old links supposedly still work. Okay. Cool. There's the link. Now, if you, like, clicking notify me can work. You can also email customer service to ask if it's something that will be coming back. Sometimes if you call, they may even have an estimate of when it could come back. And so that is something that I have found helpful in the past. Okay. That is not where I wanted to be. Aha. Oh, I was going to say about this. This is the, I think, the updated one of versus the one I have. Oh, no. This is the exact one that I have. So the, not quite. I have an updated one that I think has metal rings in these connections, but it's possible it still has twine and it just has a different key here to lock things in place, a metal key. But I definitely bought a new one and then haven't used it yet, and I've still been using the old one. So what has happened to me over time is that this string that's holding the three pieces together eventually will, from friction, will snap. So I just take some twine or some remnant yarn or something and tie it back together. Maybe it's a little bit looser, but it still works. And so that's sort of just how I repair it. And it doesn't really matter the order that you put it through. As long as you don't make it too tight, it can still sort of do the whole umbrella thing that it needs to do. Oh, I want to make sure I can see the chat. Okay. That is not where I wanted to be. Oh no. Nope, that is not what I wanted. I didn't want to take a screenshot. Nope. I can't. Here we go. Keep going back. Okay, so I went there. Favorite knitting needles. My favorite needles, and again, they added like all of the tips in when I just had added one. My favorite, oh, I want this to be live. My favorite needles are any of the interchangeables. They have sent me some for free. They are like, I have bought so many of these needles over the years, and I absolutely adore them. And so, yeah, the 4 square, I like the square ones a lot. I reach for those ones all the time, but I also like the colors. I had some spinning favorites. My spinning wheel wasn't available for me to add. Um, and I don't think I have the Kromsky drop spindles. Actually, and I think that the drop spindles that I have used are like have the hook at the top versus the bottom. Um, but I could be wrong. Maybe they are at the bottom. There's different types of like where the whorl is for like spinning. It's been a long time. I haven't used a drop spindle in decades. But a drop spindle can start at $25. Sometimes you can find them even cheaper. A wheel is multiple hundreds. So if you're interested in spinning, trying a drop spindle is a good way to do it. Aha, this section I'm really excited for. This is in my queue and on my wish list. And I actually just bought this book. So some of these things I do own. For example, I have a Hue Shift Afghan bundle with the yarn and the pattern. I have it upstairs in my closet. I just have not opened it and started it. Someday I will do that. I already mentioned I thought that these were really cute. I bought this crochet kit, haven't opened it. I wanted to just like do a review because I thought that it would be fun. And you know, these kits are great for people who don't already have a lot of like tools and notions, because I don't need the kit because I have crochet hooks. I don't need a new crochet hook, but I don't know, I bought it for myself. But now there's the Orca, and I kind of want that one too. But I haven't bought it. Maybe now I'll buy it. But like, I don't need the kit. So I don't know why I want it so bad. But I'm very excited about this book. We went to Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Parks this summer, and I just got really excited. I love color work, and so I was just really excited and thought that this book was a really fun idea, and so wanted to have it on my shelf and maybe make some things from it. And so I bought it for myself. I didn't ask Knitfix to send it to me or anything. Oh, and these, I don't use straight needles very much, but I put these on my wish list that I send to my mother-in-law. And I'm not calling her out. She's wonderful. She actually, my in-laws bought me my spinning wheel for my 29th birthday, I think. So, you know, they are wonderful, wonderful. But no, I never got the wooden straight needle set that I wanted, which I think is a little bit hilarious. Most of the time, if I'm knitting something straight, I'll use the interchangeable needles anyway. So I think that these would mostly sit pretty on my shelf. But I included them because they were on my wish list. Oh, and I think that this sweater kit is just like, the sweater is adorable. And yeah, someday I would love to make it. So that's why I tried to pick things that I'm like, these are things that I've been wanting and watching for a long time. But yeah, those are the things in my little gift guide. And so I tried to include like a bunch of my favorite things, and I love that they had like berry yarn at the top. And so I don't think you can come to this from the Knitpicks website in any kind of way, so it's not like it's basically just for me to share with you guys. So I thought that was fun, and it was exciting to be able to make that with them. Off topic, but any tips for dyeing alpaca roving? Ooh, you got some white alpaca pencil roving. Ooh, okay, so I would be a little worried with pencil roving of accidentally pulling it apart because the pencil roving is ready to draft. But otherwise, I've never dyed unspun alpaca, but I've dyed a lot of other rovings. I think the same rules apply in that you want to, I hadn't set a timer. I was like, I'm sitting here for a really long time. Oh dear. See, sometimes, okay, side note, sometimes with scribble dyeing, I would stop here. I really want to push it further and further and further. But for doing alpaca roving, gosh, I'm going to move the zip ties this time, and I'm going to like try to flip this inside out a little bit to expose areas that need exposing. Alpaca roving. You might need a little bit more acid and time, especially when compared with like merino. But it should be beautiful. Now, I guess the other thing worth saying is that if you're dyeing yarn like this and you have less water in here, then you're going to see less color spread. I wanted some amount of color spread today. Now, this color spread is probably going to mean we're not going to see as much breaking as we might have otherwise, but I still just wanted to do this like slow, every once in a while, we come back to it. We're not even halfway done with the bottle yet. I wanted something that, that's the wrong lid, that might feel a little bit tonal. Oh, you know what? We don't have that much acid in here. That also will contribute to the spread. I wanted to create something that maybe will feel a little bit tonal in the end, but less pooling. Because like with the way that we're layering the color, there should always be some amount of light and dark and light and dark and light and dark. And so I'm hoping that we'll keep building up the color, but it just felt like something that I could do in a stream versus like spending all day and going back and forth with editing. So yeah, I love off-topic questions though. Oh man, I mean, yeah, not the most dramatic thing I've ever dyed, but yeah, I'm trying to think, do I have any other, ooh, I could do other spoilers. Okay, so this yarn right here, oh, I should make this smaller again. There we go. This yarn right here is so pretty. Thank you, eBay. It is so pretty. It's actually, I dyed it recently. It was dyed with all of the leftovers from Valentine's Day 2025. The dyes that I had mixed with, I believe it was sugar. I think I did that. I had, I think, or maybe they were mixed with citric acid. I don't remember at this point. I'd have to go, it was probably sugar though. I had deep magenta, I don't know if it was fluorescent fuchsia or hot fuchsia, but then fluorescent red from Jacquard. And I layered them on. This yarn is a little bit of a bleeder, and so therefore it's discounted. Normally I would charge $29 per skein. It's, I forget what percent off I did. 10%. I did 10% discount. But yeah, those colors are fun. I already showed this one. Ooh, this cotton. Actually, spoiler, spoiler, I'm wearing a shirt, a rainbow, let's see, the pink at the bottom, a rainbow tank that I dyed, and that will be a video that comes out around my birthday. I figured that was a good placement, so I think it comes out on the 12th. But while I was dyeing this tank, I had this Leave No Dye Behind skein, and on screen right now, it's looking a little bit like washed out, but the colors are pretty bright, and I was pretty impressed. The tank is not 100% cotton, and so the colors were a little bit less vibrant than what I was hoping for, but it's still very, very fun. Let's see. What other things are sneaky peeks? This is a sneak peek for the newest Dye Pop PS episode that no one has seen yet. I will be making a newsletter for the ChemKnits patrons, and that newsletter will likely go out. When will it go out? Maybe like early next week at the latest, but hopefully sometime this weekend, and then they can see this video. I still have to make the thumbnail and do all the back end things, but the yarn is very fun. This is another Leave No Dye Behind that I want to show you the video title. Yep. I had some yarn that was soaking for a long time. The zip ties really stained the yarn. And so then I'm like, okay, that'll be the title of the video. Even though when we look at the yarn, these like darker colors that we see are a color I added intentionally. The zip tie stain was up near the pink end. And because I added a similar color up there before adding the pink, you can't even tell. But for a minute I was like, oh, it's gonna look like those were like a stain that I covered up. But no, it was because I had a different color there. But I think it adds like a really nice dimension. And so when twisted, I like that like earthiness in there. And so that, I don't know if that one's been scheduled yet. But then this one will come out before, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving maybe? And what I did in this video is I dyed twisted skeins 6 times. So I twisted the skein of yarn, dyed, I think I went in color order, so I started with magenta, then orange, yellow, green. I picked a cyan instead of a blue, and then purple. Over and over and over. And I almost did not want to add the purple layer. I was like, but I like where it is. But I did pick low amounts of dye, so that way it wouldn't be too dark or overwhelmed. But yeah, that one I'm very excited about. I just added a bunch of these yarns to the shop yesterday, and so that's why, well, this one has been in there for a little bit. But yeah, I was trying to think if there's anything else that is like especially notable. No, because sometimes like things don't always show up. Like if I do most recent, like this is kind of random because these are all older colorways, okay? Well, no, not that one, but these ones are, and so they must have just been renewed. And so like a listing doesn't permanently stay on Etsy, you have to renew it. And so this is older. Is this the Hanukkah one? Is this my prototype? No, no, no. It was me redoing after the Hanukkah. So what I realized is in Hanukkah I was dyeing this colorway. And it was like all over a pastel lavender color, and then dip dyed into, I guess, like navy, indigo, iris. I forget what the color was. But if I after the dip dyeing, if I left everything in the pot, then there would be a little bit of staining on the pastel area. And if, I'm so excited that I remember this video. And so if instead after dip dyeing I took the yarn out and steam set it, then I wouldn't get the staining on that pastel area. And so that was the purpose there. But anyway, this video is still old, 2023. I wonder what the oldest yarn is in the shop, but I don't have a good way to do that. Some of these are kind of old. But this, okay, wait. This yarn right here, the hat. This hat right here. This yarn is in my shop. What I will say is from wearing it, the blue has faded. Now I wear this outside in the snow and everything. I leave it out like in sunlight, and so I have noticed some fading of that blue, which is a bit of a bummer, but I guess it's nice to show this was done completely with commercial acid dyes, not with food coloring, and so fading can happen even with commercial dyes. But it is still my favorite hat. I adore it, and I think this is the yarn that I'm like, I am amazed that it is still in the shop. I mean, it's more expensive, but that's because the base is expensive. But anyway. So excited. People have been getting the, oh, no, I didn't want to do that. People have been getting their Hanukkah samplers. Rebecca! I brought the timer over. I didn't press start. I didn't press start. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Ooh, the pink. No, Sarah, I don't think I've ever dyed unspun bast fiber. Oh. Thank you for joining for a bit, Amy. Or for a long bit. Okay. I was like, I get distracted and I will sit and la la la. But, yeah, I want more dye, more color. Maybe we'll also do a tonal. Because, like, in theory, maybe I'll do some voiceover after this. In theory, this would be a spot that I would stop potentially in the past. But I really don't want to stop. Okay, the water is not that hot, and I really can try to expose areas that maybe are in the center more. We're just doing a scribble. So yes, I am actually recording. Oh man, so I have never wished that like I streamed video games or anything, except I've been having so much fun with Pokemon Legends ZA. I don't think it would be very exciting to watch me play. But so there have been times when I was like, man, I wish I could show off like some of these shinies or something. Okay. What was I going to say? Q. After 3-4 flips, I hit a point where normally I might choose that to be a stopping point. But again, I wanted to layer the color more and more. I am okay if we end up with very little of the more pastel area. And we have enough of this. We'll probably dye some tonals with it at some point, maybe to compare to what we have here. But I'm just absolutely loving this color and just going slow and scribbling and playing and slowly building up this color. I feel like there's something else I wanted to say, but I don't remember. But yeah, I have been playing Legends ZA a lot. In fact, I almost could play right now, because now I'm at a point of the game, because I finished the whole game. Oh, I left this on again. I'm sorry. I bet the audio goes to crap. ZA a lot. I guess it's okay, but I need to remember to swap, because it's a different like audio when I'm up there. But okay, in Legends ZA, I'm at the point where like I finished all of the plot stuff. I've finished most of the like side quests. There's like a handful I haven't done, which maybe I'll go do soon. But I'm at a point where I can take advantage of shiny hunting. And if you're not a Pokemon fan, each Pokemon comes in like one color. But then if you have the base game, the odds of finding a shiny are like 1 in 4,000 something. And a shiny Pokemon, it's just a rare version of that Pokemon in a slightly different color. And in this particular game, you can see shinies in the wild, and then it'll make this like bling sound, and these little like sparkles will go up around it, which is super fun. The first time you could see shinies in the overworld was Legends Arceus. And then in Scarlet and Violet, you could see shinies in the overworld, but there wasn't like an audible cue or the sparkle until you encountered them in battle. But yeah, and so then in this game you hear the like ding, and then you're like, you pause and you're like, okay, where is it? Is it a bird that's gonna fly away? Like, what is it? But because of the way the game is, it like saves shinies, so you can, it's really easy to shiny hunt. I got a bunch last night. And so yesterday I got, wait, what did I get? I got a Skarmory, I got 2 Espers, a Pikachu, and a Pancham. And so some of those I was like hoping to finish, and I'm like, eek! I'm so excited. But hi, Sherry. Wait, now I'm like, I don't know which Sherry I'm watching. Because I have a Sherry. Okay, I was like, wait, is it the Sherry I know in real life? My sister? But I don't think so. But welcome. For a second, just with the wave, I'm like, could it be? Okay, so how long before we get Pokemon-inspired colorways start appearing on your channel? I mean, okay. I had a whole Pokemon series one year. Let's see. Gotta find it. And I would love to do that again. Which year was it? It was not... Can I search my playlists? Okay, here we go. Nope, I do not want you. I want Pokemon inspired series. I had a Pokemon theme for the 2023 Spring Miniskein miniseries. And so the Pokemon that I used, I picked mostly for color transformations, and I used the like Pokemon evolution to inspire the colorways that I did. And so like I think that a color that like comes to me a lot still is this like Aurora and Aurora's colorway, and then this it's another one I think of all the time. No, it's the Strudel and Graphii is another color combination that sort of like lives rent-free in my head. And then I did like sort of like an Eevee-ish one, but the project bag that I made, I am so happy by. I turned the yarn in my logo into a Pokeball, all right? And then I did gotta stash them all. Like gotta stash all that yarn instead of gotta catch them all. And so I'm really, really proud of this. Now, I was okay doing this Pokemon inspired yarn in an unlicensed way because I didn't market anything as Pokemon inspired. The content here, I'm like, I'm going to create this inspired by this Pokemon. But I didn't sell anything using the word Pokemon or using like anything. And I did have like some Pokemon charms and things I included with it. And so it was a lot of fun. Now I have some more of these project, you can't see my cursor right now. Why not? Okay. I have some more of those project bags. Where's the vlog? Yeah, I'm not going to go through it. I have more of the project bags, but I also don't list them in my shop because I don't want to get a takedown notice. Like, I don't have a license to sell things, but they will show up. Usually since I have more of them, they will be included in one of my Black Friday sale listings. And so, I mean, I've done this a few times with project bags. I'll do like a stuff a bag. I'll have 300 grams of yarn in the project bag that I made with other like extras. Maybe there'll be mini skeins in there. It's not like a fade set or anything, but it's just a bunch of stuff from the shop, right? And so I will have more of those this year. And so that'll be available. But yeah, you asked about when I'm going to have Pokemon inspired stuff. Darn it, Rebecca! I didn't set a timer. How long before we get Pokemon inspired stuff? I was like, oh, we have already. And so I could do it. And so I think I said beforehand that like everything was gonna have a video game theme, but you still haven't made anything with your Pokemon SMS yarn? No, but Sherry, welcome, even though you're not my sister Sherry. I imagine another series with Selena based for the shiny colorways. Oh my gosh, I love that idea. Can someone remember that and like tell me that later? Okay, wait, no. I gotta screenshot that right now. I love that. Wait, how do I screenshot all the time. Okay. Made a gradient mosaic scarf with the Mischievous set on Yak. Ooh. The Mischievous set, that color combination is always one that I love. The hard thing is that there's not always, with Pokemon, like an evolution in the color. And so I think that maybe what I would do next time is rather than looking for like a pair of Pokemon, ooh, I might go for, we're definitely getting like a overall pink backdrop here. I think rather than going for a pair of Pokemon or, you know, a group of 3 for an evolution series, I might go for just the individual Pokemon and like go with some of my favorites because some of the colors are just so fun and beautiful. Or sometimes it's the colors when they have their like battle like, what is it, like Xerneas looks, oh, you know what I haven't done? Okay, the bottom, there's not a lot of sediment in here. Like there's a Pokemon that gives this like beautiful rainbow when it's fighting, but then doesn't when it's not, which was very disappointing when I got a shiny in Pokemon Go of that Pokemon. And I was so unbelievably excited. But then I was like, wait, where'd the rainbows go? Those only show up like when it's actually like doing stuff. This is the most layers I've ever done on a Scribble ever. We may, like the thing is over half empty now. We may not end up doing a tonal with this. I mean, we also still could, but I'm just enjoying this. And this color, I would give anything for this purple to be available as a pre-mixed color. I do not think that we have a deep purple. This is close to my wedding color. A deep blue purple, almost leaning gray, that is quite like this. I am going to remember to set the timer. I originally, yes, I started the timer. I originally had a hard stop today, but I don't anymore. Because I've been helping, well, only one other time this week, but it was my second shift to take out a friend's dog at lunch, but I don't need to do that anymore. But yeah, I have been editing up a storm. Oh, so when I said that all of the Hanukkah yarn has shipped, all of it has except for one. There is one order that is a lab partner order and the Hanukkah order. And so I have dyed the yarn. I just need to do conclusions and edit, and then I can ship that one out. But yeah. But anyway, yeah, it would be fun. Ooh, maybe I can find Is it in here or in my other? I don't remember if I ever showed this. Yeah, we can do this. I want to make sure I can see the chat too. Okay, so this, like, I ended up going with just this palette. You know, I also had pulled like the yellow. Like, I'll look at, and oh, I just did a short on the, like, my palette tool. I'll take the Pokemon, and these are the ones I decided on in the end. I'll look at, maybe I'll draw a square sometimes and like try to pull a color. Or, oh, making this gradient thing here was really fun. But I'll sort of look at it and be like, okay, what colors do I feel that maybe existed in the Pokemon, and see what colors I have and what I can play with. And so, yeah, I think the Eevee one was hard, just because it was hard to get colors that felt completely different for each of the Pokemon. Yeah, I thought about that one a lot. Oh, I think were these, I wanted to make sure the palettes I was playing with were gonna be different. And so I think some of the other palettes I had considered were around there. Oh yeah, this is one that I didn't end up doing because I thought that it maybe would be too, the problem is that they use a lot of the same colors for a lot of the same Pokemon a lot. And so over here, I think doing like the base color with the shiny could be a fun way to pull in more colors for like a gradient or progression kind of thing. But yeah, I was looking for like evolutions where they introduced new colors in. Oh yeah, here's an example of some shinies. The shiny has a big transformation here. The Rillaboom line. This picture here shows two Pokemon that don't exist. But yeah, it was fun. Oh yeah, the this is the Pokemon I mentioned before, where like these like rainbow colors up here only show up in the battle animation. And so this was one that I was like considering, like, ooh, how could I play with this palette? Yeah, what could I bring in? There was one site that like they made up these intermediate evolutions, but it was kind of nice to just think like, ooh, about a color progression. Yeah, and I was just looking for like pictures, and here's one with the shinies. Just pictures of Pokemon colors that I thought would have a good transformation. I considered, these aren't shinies. The shiny is just the body turning white, but like a lot of different color combinations that I could completely draw from and do like a set based on just that one Pokemon. Yeah, you can. It was just like I pulled so many. Oh, I liked this image just because it was so rainbow. And really, really was thinking like, oh, what options do I have? Oh, I did end up doing something based on this for a lab partner video. Oh yeah, I wanted something red, right? I wanted to have something with color, and so then I was looking at all of the starters versus all of their evolved forms to try to decide that. And so, yeah, that was how I went about that. You know, we still have a lot of contrast in here. Ooh, editing this is going to be a little confusing. So normally when I'm editing a time lapse or filming a time lapse, and I really want to open these up a little bit. But normally when a time lapse is being filmed for me as if I'm not like involved in the process. But whenever I'm working on that time lapse, a lot of times I'll put on a podcast. And so it makes it really easy to edit where I think the podcast stuff is supposed to go. Because if I can very, very easily tell the difference between audio that is coming off of my phone and audio that is coming from my mouth. And so it visually looks different. Like if I'm watching a show, things will be a lot smaller overall, but also, I guess not only are they smaller, and we've used up a lot, not only are things smaller, like when I'm looking just at the overall audio, but if I look at the like written words, then I can also really, really tell. Because, you know, it'll be talking about medicine or murder or something like that, right? Because I like a bunch of different shows. And so when I'm doing a time fudge nugget. Are you proud of me? I didn't say what I wanted to say. I dropped my timer, which is fine. It popped the batteries out, it fixed. This is the timer that I use. I got it for my physical therapy when I injured myself. When I injured my back. Ooh. So wait, okay. I'm a bit late to the party, but hello from Norway. Thank you for all the inspiration you share. Oh, it is my absolute pleasure. Feel free to ask any questions. I'm blabbing about Pokemon because of course I am. So the question is, what is one of my top 5 favorite Pokemon? This is going to be hard. I think my absolute favorite Pokemon, which took me a long time to realize, is Eevee. For a long time, and I never did it, but there are people that you can commission to draw like a family portrait with people's favorite Pokemon in it, sort of like in the style of the anime show or the Pokemon games. And so for people, like, it would be really easy to decide who each of my kids like the best, who my husband isn't into Pokemon, but the kids have decided his favorite is Alolan Executor. So, like, you know, it's very easy to know who he would have in there. But it took a long time for me to figure out who I would want, right? And then I realized I think my favorite is Eevee. So I think Eevee is my all-time favorite because of the possibilities. I will work hard to get shiny Eevees in games, and to try to get shiny versions of all the evolutions. But it's funny because I wouldn't be able to say like, ooh, like Glaceon is my favorite evolution. That's a little bit harder. And so, yeah, I think Eevee is just like one of my favorites. I would say in my current playthrough, my favorite is like my Crocodile. Is that who it is? It's like some big like alligator guy. Just has been super useful, and I've also been using a Florges through the playthrough, and those are the two that I like end up pulling out the most, which surprised me. Well, another one that I don't know it's my actual favorite, but I used it both in Scarlet and Violet and in this one, probably because it showed up early, but Talonflame. And it surprised me, but the last 2 games, I don't think it's my favorite Pokemon, but it's a strong Pokemon, and so I've used it in the last 2 games, and so, yeah. See, it's easier to think about, like, ooh, who on my, like, party has me, like, really excited or something. Who is I now, like, want to open up Pokemon Go and figure out, oh, I need to do my Spanish homework. Who my favorite like shiny legendary that I got and that I worked the hardest to get. I don't know. But yeah, I guess I don't think that's even quite 5, but those are some of the ones that I've had in my party. And therefore, like, I am a little bit attached to these particular Pokemon, even though I think if I was going to start a party from scratch, they're not who I would pick. And so, yeah, that surprised me. But so when the DLC comes out in a couple weeks, I might need to like switch up my party. I did that in Scarlet and Violet. For the second DLC, I made a whole new party out of shinies that I had collected and hunted for. And so that was fun because otherwise, like when your team's all level 100, then like, and it can't level up anymore, then it's like, oh, it makes things too easy. But anyway, you made a Wooloo your buddy when you went to Rhinebeck. Oh, that is so fun. I want a shiny Wooloo. So if you aren't a Pokemon person, a Wooloo is a sheep Pokemon that is white. Its shiny form is black. And I think that is one of the best shinies. I don't think I have one though. If I had one, then I forgot. I like am a huge Pokemon lady. I mean, my kids started like Pokemon Go came out when Ryder was a baby, and I started playing that first week. And then, I mean, I played Pokemon as a kid. I love it. But I want to see Pokemon. Wooloo. I do have a shiny Wooloo. Okay. So this is a regular Wooloo. It's not in focus, but you know. This is the shiny. And you can see the little sparkles around it. Oh, good, it's in focus. It's a little shiny. Maybe it's not quite black. Maybe it is more of a brown. Oh, I'm so glad that I have that shiny. Oh, I hatched an egg. All these things are just happening as I turn on the game for the first time today. Okay. Oh, man. But I have, I have a Pokemon Go Plus Plus, which is like a little device that can, I got it mainly because that way there are times when we're going for walks, I can focus on the people that I'm with and not on spinning Pokestops to get more items and things. And yeah, I really, really like it. We are doing so well. It doesn't necessarily feel broken anymore because as we layer the colors on more and more, yeah, we're sort of getting this like average. I am so torn. Oh good, I am recording. I'm getting a little bit inclined to stop. We are blending more and more. You can still see it and feel it, but I think we might stop here. I think what I'll do is we'll do one more check in 5 minutes, and I'll do like a detailed check, but I've used maybe 2/3 of the bottle. And in the meantime, I'm going to start heating up some water. Because we're going to use up all this dye. But I'm going to heat water up on my gas stove so then I can bring it over. And I'll move this to the other stove. The reason why I like to do this and start heating up the pot of water on the stove is that The reason why I like to heat water up on the gas stove is that when I have a big kettle of water, it'll take forever to heat up with the electric hot plate. The electric hot plate can help it stay hot, but with that volume of water, it just takes a long time. So, through the camera, it looks more like the same kind of gray purple as today. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, it's definitely different, but that's probably from the phone, but yeah. You were surprised when you were at a knitting festival in Norway how many knitters that also play Pokemon Go. Oh man. Yeah, that is one thing I won't, one thing I haven't done ever is, like, I have a lot of, like, random friends from all over the world on Pokemon Go. And if I met someone in person, I would probably do it. One thing I've never done is shared, like, my, like, trainer code on here anywhere, just because I'm like, for privacy reasons, I figure, like, it's best for people to not know, be able to, I mean, it's not always easy to figure out exactly where someone is, but yeah, just for safety. But yeah, both of my kids play. Keith does not. He is very, very uninterested. But yeah, it is a lot of fun, and yeah, I really, really enjoy playing it. But oh man, going back through all those, like, pictures I've pulled, I was like, ooh, there's colorways I want to make. But then, like, you know, when you want to do some kind of fade set and you're picking colors, sometimes you want to think both about, okay, where I start and where I end, but then also, like, how are you going to get there? And so it's fun to think about how to put those kinds of collections together. But I think the Pokemon one was an idea that I had. There were two big themes for Spring Mini Skein mini series that I've had over the years. One was the year when everything was rainbow based, and that was an idea I had a couple of years before I did it, and maybe also the Pokemon. I had the idea well in advance of the theme, and so that just depends on everything else that I have going on, really. And then for Hanukkah, there have been, this year doesn't really have a theme. In the past, there have been a little bit of themes. There was one year that I realized, like, there was a loose, unstructured rainbow theme where I had, like, there's kind of like a different, like, one night was like red based, one night was orange based. You know, there was kind of like that theme in the colorways. One day was rainbow, like legit rainbow based. There was one year where this one was fun. Every night, so for night one, I used one color, which happened to be a mixture of all nitric acid dyes, but it was still technically one color. Night two, I used two, then three, then four, then five, then six, then seven, then eight. And so that was really fun because it was just like a subtle thing. But it really meant that I had to plan out the order of the videos from the very beginning. And it's handy to not do that. So for me, like for this year, and maybe the last couple of years, I have created my colorways and then reordered them in a way that makes sense. And some years I try to arrange it in that way that, not that it is ever a fade, but I try to arrange it in a way that, like, maybe would make a color story or make sense, even though it's not a fade. And this year, I try to arrange it in a way that different types of colorways would not necessarily be next to each other. So if something is more likely to pool, maybe it's separated with something that is less likely to pool. And so I tried to do that versus, like, color story is how I sorted. Real time, Rebecca. After many flips, it's funny, on camera I think you see the contrast between things more than I do in person. I want to lift the yarn and do like a little check, but you know, there may be some areas with less of the dark, but I think I'm really, really happy with the coverage. I could keep going, but we've used probably 2/3 of the bottle. I have not counted how many times. I have it like a drop left. I'll add that up there. I haven't counted how many times I've refilled the thing, but this is how much is left. And so I think we'll go ahead and do one final project with that last bit of dye so we use it all up. But this I am going to go ahead and transfer onto my stove. Maybe I'll set a timer for 30 minutes because it can stay here for now. Eventually I'll transfer it over to the stove to finish heat setting as soon as I am ready to bring over the water I'm heating up over here. But I'm going to want it to heat for at least 25 more or 30 minutes from the last time I added dye. That is a number that works well for me. And oh, you know what else we should do? We can finally add more acid. 1, 2, 3, 4. More acid, just to help things set. 30 minutes, la la la. We are heating very slowly. Very, very slow. Okay, I am sitting down. Yay! Those are the two SMS you got, the rainbow and the Pokemon. Not for those themes, but just in coincidence, those were the years you had the ability to get them. Well, I really appreciate it, especially when it has to the yarn has to travel so far. I'm excited for you guys to see the video on this tank top. I like it, but one problem is that if I pull it down to where I normally would, then the green ends up getting completely lost. So I kind of like pull it up more. But then, yeah, I wish that the purple came down a bit more. I did the technique where like I sprinkled the dye into the pan and then I rubbed it in. So I could control a little better next time for how high the different colors go. But the other issue is that this is a much older tank, so it's a lot longer than the ones I wear mostly now. And so then that made some of the proportions a little awkward for me. But yeah, I'm hoping the pot heats up so I can do that on camera with you guys. Let's go ahead and we'll wait 10 minutes and then we'll bring it over. It's okay if it's not that hot. I'm curious if it breaks, but you know, if we wanted the best chance of it breaking, ooh, yeah, if I wanted the best chance of it, the color breaking and being able to capture that, I should do this on 100% like Peruvian Highland wool. I should use wool of the Andes. If I'm going to use Stroll, which I think I'm going to because it's what I got right here, if I use Stroll, all of the colors are going to strike faster to the yarn because it's superwash. So if you want to exaggerate color breaking, you want to separate the rates the colors bind to the yarn as much as possible. And so in a mixture where some pigments will strike really slow, if you're using a non-superwash yarn and lower acid, those colors aren't going to be able to bind at all, which means that you can really save them for the end and get that dramatic breaking. But on superwash, some amount of the pigments will stick kind of no matter what, and so that's a rationale there. You're loving these Pokemon dyeing conversations so much. The friend who got you the alpaca roving also has Eevee as their favorite. Aww, yay! No, it's fun to nerd out about it. And with, I don't know if any of you guys are playing Legends ZA, but over there I have, I've been, while editing this week, I've been doing some shiny hunting because there's a few areas where you can hunt for shinies by like refreshing where the Pokemon are by just pressing a single button, like only pressing A on the controller or just holding the movement down, and your character will sort of like run back and forth between these doors and it'll spawn Pokemon in and you'll get shinies. And so I can do that a little bit while editing because without even like looking at the screen, I'll have the sound off, so if there is a shiny I won't hear it or anything, but I can just have that in the background, which sometimes it's hard to sit down and edit. Now, when I edit videos, I do 2 stages. I'll do a stage of pre-edits where I'll usually be listening to a podcast or watching a video in the background. And as I go through, I'll trim clips. I'll look for where I give a voiceover cue. I'll remove audio from clips that are clearly supposed to be a time lapse. And I'll trim dead space, basically. And because that's most of the editing that I do anyway, occasionally like I'll cut more things out. But when I'm then going through the full video to like do all the actual edits, you know, I can do a lot with just one hand on the mouse and have the other hand holding the thing down. And so that's kind of fun. Hi, Monique. Welcome. This color is my, I think, 3rd collection of all the different colors, all my Leave No Die Behinds from this year. There were a couple that went down the sink because I didn't have any place to store them. And so a lot of them are like, it's not necessarily an average color of everything I've worked on because not every project ends up with dye leftovers. But if I'm making dye stocks and then there's dye left in a container or dye left over in a syringe or in a cup or something, I'll save all that and put it into this container. And so it's fun to see what that average random color ends up. But there have been suggestions that I should try to split the colors into cool and warm tones. And you know what? Let's do this way. I'm not even going to be on screen, am I? Let's film a talking head. I call it that because that's what they called it on The Office. Am I going to be able to get the camera safely over here? Yes. Don't want anything to happen to the camera. Even though I know this is not a flattering angle. So I'll be looking there when I talk, but you guys can see. And I see the comment about the color cue, but I will get to that. I love this color so much, but thus far, our average Leave No Die colors have been very purpley, right? I mean, this one is more cool toned than the last one, which was way more pink, purple, dusty pink toned. But that tends to be where the average goes. And so I've had the suggestion, and so many of you have suggested that I take these leftovers and sort of split them into cooler toned colors and warmer toned colors to see those averages. And I don't know if that is actually something I'm going to be able to do. Because even though in theory I like that idea a lot of times what happens is I'll be dyeing yarn for the day, and if I have 5 different cups with little bits of dye left in it, I pour a little bit of water into one, swirl it, then pour it into the next cup and the next cup and the next cup. Because I want to add as little water into the container as possible. I want it to be mostly pigment, even though it's still definitely diluted from like what the colors were originally. And so if I'm trying to separate warmer colors and cooler colors, that's going to make it a little bit more complicated for me. Just because I'm going to have to think and make a game time decision. It's like, well, this green is like a brownish green. I guess that makes it warm tone. You know, I'd have to make those decisions, but also have more thought into just collecting the last little bit of dye. And so we'll see what happens as we proceed with 2026, where we end up, how I continue to do this. But it's been a lot of fun to add things into this jar and to have this mystery color. Now, one thing I could do next time is maybe take the mystery color and then say, okay, this is one color. What other colors will I pull from my collection that would work well with it? And so then to not have something that is very monochromatic based on that one color, I could mix it up and pull in other things. So I look forward to hearing what you think down in the comments of this video. Please also give it a thumbs up. But yeah, I think that we're gonna have to like see where things take me, and by the time this video comes out, I might have already started saving leftovers. I don't know yet, but we will see. Yeah, because I think, like, as I realized as I was about to tell all of you, I was like, oh, I should include this in the video. Because I think that it's important to be realistic about what I can actually accomplish. I know we're still bopping, but okay. There was a comment. Good morning from Idaho. Hi, welcome. You've been bitching on my videos in anticipation of your first bare yarn and dye shipments. Yay! Yay! Well, Stellar, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them here. Not only here in the live chat where I can respond to it right now, but in general, if you have questions, I try to scan. Oh no. That is hilarious. Okay. Realizing that showing off my whole Google Drive right now. But there's one thing that I want to say. Valentine's Day ChatGPT letters was something that I did that was very hilarious for my family last year. In general, I am not a ChatGPT person. But I was like, okay, let's have it right, an I love you. I gave this very detailed prompt with lots of puns. And so Ryder's was dinosaur themed, Lucas's was Pokemon themed, Keith's, I forget, I put a bunch of things that I was like, oh, make sure you mention all these things. And so it was very clear that it was supposed to be very obvious it was not written by me. I actually had legit cards that I wrote to the family as well. But yeah. I was like, is anything here embarrassing? I don't think so. Let's see. Okay, Robin had one. Have you heard of the color cube? Yes. Yes. I have heard of that. Wait, I'm thinking of two things. So one of them is a box of different inspiration photos with palettes. We're going to go check on the, I'm going to go check on the yarn. And by the yarn, I mean I'm going to check on the dye pot that I have heating up. We're starting to get steamy. I'm going to let it sit a little longer so I can answer these questions. Okay. Okay, so the color cube, I think it's the thing, and I've been intrigued too, where you have, where you would have, it would be pulling an inspiration photo and the color palette. I used to do a dye-along every month, which, the logistics behind it got a little bit complex for me, and so I kind of stopped. But I think that I would like to do, color, pulling color palettes from a photo and dyeing yarn from that more again in the future. I think that, yeah, that is something that has always inspired me. And so I think the color cube has different pictures and palettes, which I think is really, really fun and pretty. There's another cube that I'm thinking of, which I don't think works quite as well, but it's one that there's a color that's a cyan, a magenta, and a yellow, and so when you turn it, you see all these other colors. So for a brief second, I thought of that, and then I realized that it was probably the other one. So I'm definitely intrigued by those. Let's see, Monique. I personally like the colors combined for these Leave No Dye Behinds, but you would like to see a comparison of the warmer tones and cooler tones. I think it would just be logistically tricky for me to manage. And the average right now, this was a lot of cool tones that went into this one. That's why this is so cool tone. Normally, things have been warmer. And so I think because this purple is so different from the last pink, let me see if I can find it. Okay, so right here, I'm trying to point with my hand because I don't want to go over it. This one right here with the knot, you can see the like warmth in that color that is on that knotted yarn, which is significant because it is different. Where's the other? Back of the envelope calculations. It's like, will I recognize it just from the, oh, what color will it be? Okay, so this one was way more like greenish, I guess. No, no, no. Skip. Okay, so like it broke, it was like green and purple and broke. I didn't use all of it on there, but I think that this first one felt very, very similar. Ooh, it is a little fluorescent. Felt very similar to, words. Felt similar to the one that was after it with like that pinkish purple. Since this one is so different, that makes me feel more okay about doing like an overall mega combined, you know. Let's see. Let's see. And Monique just received a Bear Yarn order yesterday. Yay! Ooh, doing colorways on fall leaves is a lot of fun. Okay, Stellar asked, which dyes colors do you think take the longest to actually set to the fiber? Oh, and how long do you usually steam the yarn for finishing? Both are great questions. So typically I will steam or heat the yarn for 30 minutes at the end after I've finished adding color. Sometimes things may not need quite that long. Sometimes things may need a little longer, but that is just sort of like a, okay, this tends to work. This is where I'm going. And certain colors, if after 30 minutes there's some left in the pan, I may leave behind. If it's a fluorescent pink, I'll leave that last bit behind. If it's a blue like Caribbean blue, I'll leave that last bit behind. You think you got the color cube because you missed the old dialogues? Aw. Yeah, I think the stress, I got stressed like picking pictures and picking things that were different. And then like the way I had it structured and like hoping that more people would participate, but then maybe not getting as many submissions. And so it was just, and also I tried to do them in the evening, and then I started getting so tired in the evenings that it was like, it was becoming logistically challenging for me to do. And now that, I mean, today's a Thursday, but a lot of times if I stream, I'll stream on like a Friday morning in place of the edited video slot. I think just giving myself more flexibility permission has been really helpful. Okay, and then the other part of the question is, which dyes, colors do you think take the longest to actually set on fiber? I mentioned two. Things that are fluorescent tend to take longer. Some blues can take a long time. Emerald green is another one that takes a long time. Purple pop, it's got a fluorescent pink in there. A lot of these things you might see with trial and error. Like, there was a time when I'm like, okay, I want to use pink orchid. I add the yarn in, and it sucked up the color immediately in a very uneven way. And I'm like, okay, that's a color that strikes fast. And so I think Jacquard's Brilliant Blue is another one that I'm like trying to do a demonstration of getting like all over color, and it like struck so fast, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna need to step back and do another example of this to like get the demonstration that I'm aiming for, right? And so things like that, I think, you learn with trial and error. But I think I hear, yep, and I see steam. So what we're gonna do is turn off, which one is the big one? Darn it. Turn off the small one. Move this to the stove. Move this over, and I want to make sure, turn that up so that you guys can still see it. Not perfect. Let's see. Can I change the tilt? Nope, wrong way. Okay, that's a little better. Yeah, these, I have this one linked somewhere. But here's, I definitely got it on Amazon, I think. It's a Cuisinart double electric burner. But what was I going to say? Here's a little thing about affiliate links, like on Amazon. If you click on an Amazon affiliate link, that takes you to my gloves, right? And then you go and you search for like this countertop burner, I'll still get credit for that and I'll earn commission. So the actual product linked does not matter, if you were curious. Okay. All right, I have my 8-quart dye pot here, full, about halfway with water. I did not measure it. And we're going to take this last bit of dye and add it all in. You can see at the bottom there maybe is a little bit of solids, but really not much. So I'm rinsing it out with a little bit of water. Not much at all. Now, I may not bother cleaning the jar because we may let this be a leave no dye behind container for next year. But I'm also going to rinse this bottle out. You know, there's not much. But why leave any dye behind of my leave no dye behind? Okay. Now I want to add some acid. And so my guess is that maybe I have 10 to 12 cups of water. 24 cups would be up there. Maybe 16. Let's go ahead and do 2 tablespoons of white vinegar. If I wanted to see the color breaking super well, I should do this with a non-superwash yarn, but that's not what we're going to do today. I'm going to get a dry skein of Stroll and we'll just see what we get. I need a zip tie. Oh no! Zip tie's explosion! I am going to use a brand new zip tie, just so that way it does not influence the color. I'm going to pop my gloves back on. Okay. Okay, we've got our dry yarn, just 100 grams of yarn. Now, Stroll is so absorbent, but I'm going to try to still be really slow as I raise and lower it, and also try to separate it a little bit, because if I have the 2 strands held together, the dye won't get as much in the areas that are touching. And just slowly I'm adding a little more and a little more. Now, I am seeing, like when I have the yarn and then I lift it up, some of the color maybe drains out, leaving something else behind. It's hard to say. It's hard to say, but we are getting definitely less and less color. Like the pigments are binding. But I don't know how much breaking we're going to get. Sometimes when you see color breaking, you'll see like a color when you first lift the yarn up, and then a color will drain out a little bit, shifting it back a different direction. And it's because like if you have a little bit of blue or something that is going to bind towards the end, then you can see it come out. But whatever we have left over in here is not that dramatic. And we still have a lot of that main color left. It's just getting like more and more, and I think there are some blues left because when I go in, it feels lavender and then it feels maybe a little pinker. But we still have what looks like a ton of pigment, so I'm afraid to go in with the last bit. And so part of me is like, oh, I should add more acid to try to get more of that in. But I also don't want to add more acid because if I add more acid, then everything's going to strike faster. But yeah, that color is definitely feeling, I don't know. I could have picked proportions where I know that things work for breaking. There are ways I definitely could have done this that would have worked better. But, you know, I'm going to leave this partially in while I deal with that. Hello? Everything is okay. Okay. Oh. Okay, we are back. Ooh, things are clearing a bit. It's definitely feeling pinker, like what's left. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add everything in, and now I'm gonna add a lot of acid. That was just two. Let's add like a ton of acid in here. And the reason for this is I don't know how much it's showing up on camera, but it looks like we have something way warmer and pinker here at this last end. Those are probably some of those fluorescent pinks coming into play. And so I'm hoping that more acid will help some of that come in. And you can kind of see it right there. So I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes. The other yarn is almost done heating. I'm going to turn off the heat and let that cool. So I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes and then we'll come back. I'm not actually setting a timer yet. I'll set a timer for 27 minutes when the other timer goes off in a moment. Is this acrylic yarn? No, this is 75% superwash merino wool, 25% nylon. Yeah, and I'm using commercial acid dyes here, but they are a mixture of a lot of different pigments. So the dye that I saved for today was the little bit of acid dye leftovers that I had across multiple videos over months. So we definitely have like black, navy, pink, yellow, blue, all kinds of things all in here. And it's sort of like what random color did we get? Oh, thank you for explaining, Sarah. Is it possible to dye acrylic yarn? Yes, it is absolutely possible. Let me hop back in front of the camera. Oh, I left that up. Haha. Okay, yes, it's possible to dye acrylic yarn. It is a lot harder. I do have a whole playlist, I think, on dyeing synthetics. There are dyes you could use like Jacquard iDye Poly, RIT Dymore Synthetic. You need a dye geared towards synthetic fibers to dye acrylic. Now the problem with dyeing acrylic yarn is that to get the colors to come in, you need to have a really high temperature. But when you bring in more heat, you sort of kill the fiber a little bit, and so it'll go from being round to being a little bit flat. It won't melt the fibers enough to become like hard plastic, but it'll melt it enough that it changes the shape of the yarn, which is less ideal. So in my video description, we'll see what I have there. Let me see. Acid. So most of the dyes that I use, let me see. I'm adding a link in the video description to Dharma acid dyes. They also sell Jacquard acid dyes on their website. But yeah, I order most of my dyes through Dharma Trading Company. You can get Jacquard acid dyes through KnitPicks as well. And I will drop my KnitPicks affiliate link through my gift guide. But KnitPicks is having like their Black Friday sale. That link is just my affiliate link. Yeah, so you can get Jacquard acid dyes through KnitPicks, or as I mentioned, you can get them through Dharma Trading Company. And you can find fiber reactive dyes sometimes at like Blick's art supplies, or like an art supply store that is more geared towards artists versus like a big box craft store like Michael's. But you can't always find acid dyes in those stores. And mainly because fiber reactive dyes you can use to dye cottons, but you can also use them. You set it for 27 minutes now. You can also use them, just like I am here, with vinegar to dye wool. Okay, I am going to film a quick clip over on the stove. While we wait for the dip dyed yarn, I'm now going to turn off the heat on this. Ooh, do I see some breakings? Maybe, maybe not. Turn off the heat on this beautiful yarn. I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. I would be okay removing it and setting it aside to cool at this point, but logistically it makes sense to leave it here right now. And we'll wash it once it has cooled completely. But now it's, 25 minutes in the future. So let's look at the dip dyed yarn. I love answering questions, so please ask away. You know what I haven't done yet today? I haven't inserted an ad at all today. So let's see. Okay, so you purchase a handful of worsted comfy skeins, which are 75% cotton, 25% acrylic. Will my reactive dyes take to that small percentage of acrylic? No. They will not. You can't dye acrylic with fiber reactive dyes. For example, like on this t-shirt that I dyed with fiber reactive dyes, can you see the thread that is probably like acrylic or polyester? The thread is still white, which I don't know if that's coming through. But so I think that you can get a more discrete example of the like synthetics not taking up color in something like that when you're like, oh, the thread didn't take up color. Must not have been cotton thread. If you dye comfy worsted, which is the cotton acrylic blend, side by side with 100% cotton with the exact same amount of dyes, the color for the comfy will probably be a hair lighter in the end, but it will still be fine. I've dyed comfy for sure in the past, and it's come out looking good. But yeah, if you could dye acrylics with fiber reactive dyes, I think that would make a lot of people's lives a lot easier. The other thing with dyeing synthetics like acrylic is that you may get a RIT Dymore synthetic dye that is a purple, and then you put it on your acrylic yarn and the color may be very different in the end from what it looked at the beginning. So the only way to know how the color will proceed is to do a test swatch. Try it on a little snip of yarn if you are doing something valuable, is what I would recommend. Now, a RIT dye more synthetic can also dye wool and cotton, I believe. But I say this with a big asterisk. One of the few yarns I've ever thrown away in my entire life was wool yarn I dyed with RIT Dye More Synthetic. I dyed it at the same time in the same pot as the acrylic. There was way too much pigment there. That yarn would not stop bleeding. I felted it a bit with washing and I threw it away because it would not stop bleeding color. And so, you know, that was something that was kind of a bummer. And so I do not recommend using it on wool unless you're using a tiny amount. And so this is part of the reason to do a dye more synthetic, to dye those synthetic pigments. Not only do you need heat, you need a lot of pigment in order for it to take it up. Because I think when you buy an acrylic yarn that has color in it, the color was in the acrylic before it was extruded into fibers. So they don't get white acrylic yarn and then dye it. You start with however the acrylic fibers are created, the color is in there as those fibers are being created, if that makes sense. And so then that gives that integrity to the fibers or whatever. I'm loving these questions though. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh, there was one time, and there was a video where I tried mixing colors to get like a rainbow on some acrylic yarn, and it worked okay. Like I mixed colors that like on a paper towel gave me a good rainbow, and it was not as, like the hues weren't the same when it was done. Yeah, now when you dye, if you're gonna dye like a wool acrylic yarn, the first yarns I ever dyed in my entire life were 80% acrylic, 20% wool. They were Lion Brand woolies. I had an off-white color. I dyed them with Kool-Aid. And the fun thing there is you end up getting like a heathered yarn because you can see, like almost looking at it, the acrylic doesn't get dyed, but the wool there takes up a lot of the color. And so then you see that contrast and it's really fun. Monique is saying, I plan to test colors using 10-gram skeins and mason jars. I know the ratio is 1 gram to 100 skeins. Oh, okay. If the ratio, so the ratio does not need to be 1 gram of dye to 100 grams of yarn. Not always, but if it's a starting place that I will use a lot, but then I might do less or more depending on the color that I'm trying to go for. But if you want a ratio of 1 gram of dye to 100 grams of yarn, which is a very safe place to start, you are correct that you do want 0.1 grams of dye per 10 gram mini skein. And so one way you can do this, because measuring out 0.1 grams of dye is hard for scales to register, so I would make a dye stock, even if it's just weighing out a gram of dye, dissolving it into 100 milliliters of volume, and then you can take 10 milliliters of that mixture to get your 0.1 grams of dye. I could go through, people have wanted me to do like a math chalk talk on dyeing, which I haven't done. Keith has a whiteboard in his office upstairs, so I could use the like whiteboard to like do math on screen, or I could do 2 cameras with one pointing down, so I could like do math and show that off. But I recommend that you check out some of my videos on depth of shade, because I've shown like an 8% depth of shade of ivory gives like this pretty light orange, whereas a 0.2 or like a 0.25% depth of shade of true black still gives a very saturated gray. So the amount of dye that you might want to use depends a lot on the color, but yeah, for a lot of colors I will start at about 1% and then adjust from there. But then if you have a color at a 1% depth of shade, so 1 gram of dye per 100 grams of yarn, and you're like, okay, I wish this was a bit more saturated, you're going to want to bump up the dye by at least a factor of 1.5. Like doing 1 gram of dye and then 1.1 grams of dye, you're not really going to see much of a difference. You will see more of a difference if you go up to 1.5 or 2 grams. But there are some colors where you definitely don't want to do 2 grams of dye on 100 grams of yarn, like a fluorescent pink. That's way too much of that pigment. It will not all stay in. So each color, brands will have recommendations for the amount that you should use of colors and things like that. I don't know if I have a playlist. I definitely have a lot of those math videos in my FAQ playlist, my frequently asked questions playlist, which also has a bunch of shorts in it too, of things that people ask about. I think that a lot of those math videos I've put in there to hopefully make them easy to find. I may not be sticking around much longer, everyone. It may almost be my curtain call. Mainly because I'm getting hungry and want lunch, and I have a lot of other things that I have to film today. Okay, but let me go back through. I don't know where I left my phone. I will give, let me go up to the counter. Oh, I can show you the other finished yarn. Of course. So that is looking less and less pink and more lavender to me. And so therefore it doesn't necessarily, oh my gosh, I swear I thought I turned you off. I turned that on high. I felt the heat. Please, please be careful. This was very bad. Very, very, very bad and unsafe. I can't tell if there are areas in here that feel more blue or not. I can't tell yet. I'm going to need it to dry. It's very pretty though. I will be setting it aside to cool and washing it once it is completely cooled off. Now, the hot plate, like the whole thing, except for this like plastic edge, the whole rest of it will be very hot for a long time. Sometimes what I'll do, especially if it's not raining, is when I'm wanting for it to cool, if I can safely carry it from these plastic bits, I will take it outside. Our outdoor table is metal. You've seen that in videos. And I'll let it cool out there. But mainly it's because I'm getting it away from anywhere kids or pets. I mean, Indy is upstairs right now, so I could set it on the floor somewhere, but outside is a little bit safer. I mean, I could also set it on like my kitchen table or dining room table, but yes. I want to see my chat. Let's see. What about acrylic paint on acrylic yarn? No, do not recommend. I did that because I saw a video on that, or someone shared that, and I did it. One of the very first episodes of Dye Pot Weekly, and it just washes out. Like it just almost completely washes out, and also affects the texture of the yarn. Do not recommend. Acrylic paints are paints that are made out of like acrylic. Like the paint itself is made out of acrylic. It's not a dye. It's not meant to dye acrylic fibers. Will this live be up so you can watch it again? Yes. Yes. I mean, sometimes YouTube needs to process it for a bit after, but yeah, the lives are always still up. If we go to, I don't have my channel page open anymore. But if you go on, well, we can go over there. YouTube. That's me. Oh, I forgot that I did that. That's so fun. So if you go here, like along the tabs, along the top, if you click on live, it'll show all of my past live streams. Also, just like on the home tab, I mean, I'm on a desktop right now, but on your phone, there should always be like a For You section, a Live Now. It'll show like the most recent videos to come out. And then there's a past live streams section. And so there's some other sections. I still have these up because I think that they're very handy tools, but Dive into Dyeing does not exist anymore. Oh, and here is the should you dye acrylic yarn with acrylic paint. That video is right there. Because I think like I used different dilutions and they looked good, but then I did one of them that I washed, and I think the one that I washed is the one on the far right. Was one that I put through the washing machine to see if it was wash fast. So I think the lightest one as is, like if you were going to do it on a toy, if you wanted to make like a little knit creature and try this, maybe it would work. But also, you should just paint it after the fact, right? So, yeah, so in the frequently asked questions playlist, there we go. Food coloring breaking. Yeah, so some of the Matha yarn dyings are here. Do I have volume? There was a more recent. Not every short goes in, but when there's something that I think is a useful tip, I'll put it in. But there was another depth of shade. Oh, here, this is the one that I was referencing. That orange right there, that little bit of orange, is an 8% depth of shade of ivory. And so, yeah, just trying to show like differences of different colors. Okay, but as I'm going to pop back over here real quick. Ooh, yay, Eric, I'm glad your Hanukkah sampler is about to arrive. Now, speaking of Hanukkah samplers, that is a great time as we're wrapping down for me to talk about all the Hanukkah stuff. So I mentioned earlier, the 2025 ChemKnits Hanukkah yarn samplers are ready to ship. Each sampler will come with 9 wrapped packages in it. There will be a 10-gram mini skein for you to unwrap each night of Hanukkah, and there'll be a yarn dyeing video that comes out featuring me dyeing that yarn. So you can unwrap it while you watch or not, that's up to you. The 9th wrapped package will be a 20-gram mini skein that's a bonus colorway dyed in one of the 8 main videos, or the 9th and 10th bonus videos that come out. The 9th and 10th bonus videos are for dyeing the sparkle bonus colorway or the silky bonus colorway. I also have some of the 2024 Hanukkah samplers available, and there's some spoilers on YouTube if you want to go see what that's like before picking that up. And this just one night, our 100-gram skeins dyed in the first 7 nights of this year's series. Oh, that's not important. But yeah, the Hanukkah sampler. Oh, here. Spoiler. Here's some packaging from previous years. I don't show the packaging for this year until that comes out, but I always try to vary the packaging. Hi, Andy. I'm slowly signing off. Okay. Monique asked, do I always have the pot on high heat when using hot plates? Frequently, because you can see we're still not like at very much of a rolling boil. I might reduce it at some point. With a big pot, I'm likely to leave it on 5, but I reduced it to 3 when I had the whole pan out there. So it really just depends on all of that. And again, the Knit Picks Black Friday sale is here. The affiliate link I'm going to drop in the chat is my gift guide, but it is the same like main website, and yeah, you can save 30% off of your order, and if an item is marked down, the coupon code stacks on top of that, and so yeah, that is awesome. And yeah, I guess those are the big announcements, and yeah, the little gift guide, that's what I linked to, but then you can just click up here and go to the main site. But yeah, oh, I didn't mean to do that, but that's okay. But hopefully people shopping like with the gift guide, will make them want to do something like that with me again, because that was fun. Wait, what's 8%? Oh, 8% depth of shade, yes. I was like, what was I talking about there? How much time is on the timer? Eek. Trying to not break anything. Okay, 8 minutes. That's long enough. All right. So see, now we're starting to get some bubbles. I am going to reduce it to like a 3. So, but it took a long time to get this hot. A very long time. And so that is also worth considering. You know, this is the point in streams where I talk about creating a studio where I have like maybe a large like flat top. It would have to be electric. I would love to have, in my dream studio, I would have a gas stove on an island. I'd have rigs on the ceiling that could mount the cameras so I could do it top down but also straight on. I would have a little desk so that way I could sit in a chair near the stream. See, part of the problem with having everything set up here is that I need the computer to be close enough to where the camera is. So that way, yeah, I need the computer to be close enough to the camera. And so the only real way to do that and to not also, yeah, is for me to sit like on the floor. And so that's what I do. But yeah, my dream studio, I've thought a lot about this. Oh man, because I don't need that much physical space, you know, like I need like some space, but I use like only about 50% of my counter when I'm filming, because if I'm using the bigger counter, I can't reach everything. Like there could be times when it would be super useful, but yeah. But yeah, and I don't know if I'd want a proofing cabinet or not. I don't dye enough in bulk where I think that it would help me. Like occasionally I'll do over 30 skeins in a colorway, but I try to have a plan for something that I can batch. Like the colorway that I did today, the scribble dyeing that we spent a couple of hours doing for like 2 skeins of yarn, that's not something that someone who like will do a huge shop update with 100 skeins of the colorway would do. Like it's not practical to do that. But as a small batch dyer who creates content, I can do it. And it doesn't matter if the like selling the individual yarn wouldn't necessarily make a profit at what I'd list it for, given the amount of labor that went in. It averages out. And so some things are faster to do and some things are slower. And so part of playing with color and exploring different techniques is figuring out what you enjoy doing. And then also, if you're selling your yarn, what your customers may like, what makes you a little bit different from other dyers. Everyone has their own like signature that they want to do. And I think finding that is important and a big deal. But anyway, I will, and I think the video will come out, like will be the first video of 2026. So you'll get to see this yarn dry. It's still looking a little bit pinkish at that one end, but we'll see if it feels broken or just like different depths of shade. Because sometimes like you could have a dark gray, but at a low depth of shade, it might look like a purple. And that doesn't mean that it broke. It's just, that's what the color is. Just like the ivory I showed you at the 8% depth of shade was like an orange, right? So yeah, that all varies. But anyway, and oh, the very last thing I want to say is again for the PSA, if you're on Android and you click on the product that like YouTube has linked to, the little products on there, Etsy has an error where they show free shipping. I do not offer free shipping on any of my listings ever, except for the like service where I'll wind yarn into a yarn cake for you. That has free shipping. But you also have to buy yarn if you're getting that, and so it doesn't give free shipping on the whole order. It's just that one item is free and has no like weight. I mean, I had to put some amount of weight, but it doesn't increase like the shipping. It shouldn't increase the shipping cost, hopefully. And And so that is an error. I have reached out to Etsy customer service about it. And the problem is that YouTube is because I have all these links in the description. YouTube is auto tagging products in my shorts, in my other listings. And so that is a concern. But the other thing is that when you see, I'll pull one back up. Let me pop back in, wait for the ad to end. Okay, I'm going to pause it. Okay, so here I am on this video, very meta. Down here, it has the tagged products, which are this year's and last year's Hanukkah samplers. And it says ChemKnits will earn commission on tagged products. While that is true, I will be paying more than getting commission because Etsy will probably charge me an ad rate. So that's not a way to get me more money. Now, if you are just watching a video and like that is what gets you to like you're interested in it and you go check out, do it. The commission offsets what Etsy will charge me for the ad, I'm assuming. But yeah, so don't worry if you do. But if you're wanting to give me the most money when you're shopping in my shop, go to chemknitscreations.etsy.com or click on one of the links that I have in my video description, like the one, why is it not showing? Yeah, like this one right here, or the one in the pinned chat. As long as it starts as chemknitscreations.etsy.com, Etsy will know that I referred that sale, and therefore they refund me some of the fees that they take. And so that is the way that I earn commission for real on my own sales. YouTube auto tagging products, yes, they would give me a commission, but I'm sure these are the things Etsy would consider offsite ads. And so like if YouTube gives me a 10% commission, Etsy would charge me a 12% ad fee, or 14% ad fee, which isn't the end of the world, but you know, it's still worth me not trying to go through and remove them when they're auto added into my videos. But I just don't want people to go out of your way to use those. If like if you see it and that interests you and you use it, then perfect, right? But don't use those because you think that like that's the way to make me the most money or anything. So I hope that makes sense. But it is fun that I can have like my products actually show up. And it's because, I think it said it somewhere, like best, oh, come on. Oh, it's just this item. Because somewhere it said that it was like one of the, like a top seller in yarn or something, somewhere. And I was like, okay, well that's really exciting. Not just a bestseller, but anyway. I just wanted to mention that again, and huge apologies for, like, I know it's an Etsy back end issue, but yeah, I feel bad when it erroneously on Android at least will say that there's free shipping on an item that I do not offer free shipping for. Because it does not, if I go to it on mobile and I search for the item after clicking on the link, it won't show up with that. It's only on the landing page. And so it's something that they coded poorly, and that is stressing me out because I can't remove them from everything. Oh, hey, guess what? You're going to get to see me remove it after all. Because the time has gone off. Let's just make sure. Oh yeah, my monitor is gonna die. We are on the correct thing. It has been 30 minutes, and there are times with a hot plate. I'm actually gonna both turn it off, but I'm unplugging the hot plate now. There is a hint of pink dye remaining here in the pot. I could leave the yarn in here to absorb that last little bit of pink, but I'm not going to. I do feel more pink there. The breaking is super subtle though. And you know, the breaking, I would say the shift and the separation of colors, we do see an increase, a bit of warmth, but because I think the pastels we would see would still be more gray purple, but it's so subtle, unlike other combinations I've made over the years that intentionally break. So anyway, I'm gonna set this aside to cool completely. Then we can wash it, and that last little bit I'm leaving behind. Is that, oh no, that's just reflected. I was like, why is that light looking on? But yeah, I always, when I do want the hot plate off, turn it off. Not only turn the dials, but unplug it, I mean. When you don't want it on, you want the plug not plugged in anymore. And that is the safest way to make sure that you didn't accidentally leave it on. Because, you know, unless you're like wild like me, and turn one of the burners up all of the way. But this hot plate has worked well for me over the years. It just does not work super well. I've learned outside, if I have a kettle completely full of water, it just takes so long to heat up. But anyway. Look at me, I talked for so long that we got to the end. Oh man, and my hair has like completely like, is my part? I'm like, it's side parted itself more. It's still a little to the side, but anyway, I want to see my chat. Yes, always unplug your hot plate when you're not using it is one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give. But anyway, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today as I dyed this yard and worked on filming this video. This is a very long form of the kind of behind the scenes I will give to ChemKnits patrons. Every month, if you're a patron at the wool level or higher, which starts at like $5 a month, one of the perks is a behind the scenes live stream. It's also available for YouTube members at the postdoc level. And in that stream, I will be working on an episode of Dye Pot Weekly. And so it will be like basically a long unedited form of whatever it is I am working on. And then eventually it'll become an edited video. And so then you can see like, oh, what did she cut out? I mean, not that you necessarily want to do that comparison, but yeah, it's just a fun way to give a sneak peek and early access to new content. But yeah, it's this kind of thing, which sometimes I do like publicly for everyone, but I try to keep the Patreon behind the scenes live streams to be 20 to 30 minutes long to make it short enough that it's easy for someone to watch and you're not having to like watch a whole 3-hour video where I start vamping on Pokemon or whatever. But yeah, I appreciate all of you tuning in. Please make sure you're subscribed and turn on your notifications. Sometimes I try to plan these streams with notice. Other times I decided last night I wanted to go live today, but I also knew that the Knit Picks coupon was coming and didn't want to share it in advance. And I ended up not putting it in the thumbnail or anything. But yeah, I was like, okay, I can't talk about that before it actually comes out today. So I'll wait until the morning to schedule the stream. But, and actually the way I thought that this was a little clever. No, not my shop. I want literal. Okay. Nope. Here we go. And so the way, like, when I do my, like, big sale tracking that I do every year, the way I talk about, like, what about Black Friday is we'll be like, okay, in these years, this is the coupon that existed. Oop. In 2024, we got a 30% off coupon. I'm sharing things that have happened. And so I knew, because they told me, like, I knew what was coming this year. But Oh, Bubble, thank you for subscribing. Yay. Thank you. Thank you for subscribing. But yeah, so I knew that it was coming, but therefore, like, I'm not going to say, like, I know the coupon that's coming and when it's starting, because I can't share that information, but I can still share, like, the trends, and that's why I track it and still track it, even though I've known what's going to happen the last couple of years. But anyway, I am Rebecca from ChemKnits. I love to dye yarn, share my process, answer questions, and so thank you for coming along for the journey, and thank you so much for watching. And I will talk with y'all soon. I guess tomorrow, what comes out tomorrow? There's a video that comes out tomorrow. I don't remember what it is. See, this is how I get distracted. Ooh, yeah, okay, it's a Dye Pot Weekly episode tomorrow. And it's fun, and I still have to figure out my Black Friday colorway. I haven't dyed it yet. I know what I'm going to do, but I'm dyeing that tomorrow. So, anyway, thank you so much for watching. Bye, everyone.